This week, I turned an IKEA shoe tray into something pretty.
After that, we'll meet Brent from BYOT and share a few of our favorite maker videos of the week. But first, it's time for a maker break.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob.
And I'm Sarah, and this week we set out to turn an ugly IKEA shoe tray into something worth putting on display.
Yup, these trays are cool for keeping your muddy shoes and boots off of the floor, but they don't look all that great.
No, not really. So we came up with a simple solution that makes this functional piece of plastic look better.
Living on 5 wooded acres means we wear a lot of boots and bring in a decent sized mess each day. To help keep the mess under control, my wife bought these IKEA shoe trays, and they do a great job. However, my wife doesn't exactly like how they look. So after a quick Pinterest search, she found several options. What we settled on was a fairly simple design that would look much nicer in our entryway and at the same time be easy to pick up and put away when we don't need it. I had some 1x4 pine left over from last week's project and a 1/4 inch sheet of plywood that I just never got around to using. After cutting the pine to length, I got to try a new tool. This is a Freud dado set that works on our Milwaukee M18 saw. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know this battery-powered saw could handle a dado stack, but here we are. To use it, you decide how large of a channel you want to cut, then use this chart, which tells you how many blades to stack on your dado. I wanted a 1/4 inch slot for our bottom piece, which only required the 2 main blades. After cutting the slot in each piece, I just had to cut out the bottom piece from my sheet of ply. After that, I did some sanding and applied some water-based poly to all of it, and when it was dry, I glued it all up and clamped it together with these Bessey band clamps. Now, I'll be honest, this method did not go well. I'm not entirely sure how to clamp this sort of thing together any better, but I'm gonna look for a better way in future projects. After it dried, I screwed on these handles we found at Home Depot, and that was it. I brought it upstairs, dropped in the IKEA shoe tray, and put it to work. Super easy and fun to make, and it looks pretty good to boot. Boot.
That turned out to be really pretty.
Yeah, and it was really fun using the dado stack for the first time too. I think we'll be using that a bunch more in the future.
So I don't have a table saw.
Right, so a lot of people aren't gonna have a table saw
Okay.
available to them, that's fine. You could easily use pocket hole screws, butt joints, nails, pretty much
Other
anybody
way.
anybody with a saw and some fasteners can make this happen.
Awesome. All right, we share the maker universe with a ton of amazing content creators. And every week, we reach out to interview a new one. This week, we're talking with Brent from BYOT, or Bring Your Own Tools. It's time again to meet a maker.
Hey, Rob and Sarah, thank you so much for having me on the show today. My name is Brent, and I am the starring creator of Bring Your Own Tools, or BYOT for short. So number one question, tell us a little bit about myself as well as the channel. Well, it all started back in 2010 because 2010 I bought my first home. And I have a construction management background, but I don't know everything about how to remodel an entire house. So I started using YouTube for everything, and it was extremely helpful. I used it constantly throughout the entire process, but of course at a certain point, I found a video that I just could not find anywhere. It was a grass video because I wanted to transform my backyard from weeds and dirt to full-on grass, and there was nothing that had like the full transformation of that. So that really got the ball rolling as to why I wanted to create a channel at that point, because hey, I wanted to create something that actually helped someone else out there into the world, because YouTube was so helpful to me at that point. And lo and behold, that was not the first video I did, but it did get the ball rolling. Well, I'll show you. I always suggest getting an oscillating multi-tool. This one's from Finn, and it is incredible. It's very versatile. It's not something that I use tremendously in my woodworking, but if you're trying to remodel a home or anything else in between, I highly suggest getting one of these bad boys because it saves my bacon in a number of different aspects, and I use it all the time. You're able to get in very unique corners, shapes, and sizes depending on what you need to cut, but extremely versatile, very safe tool to use, especially if you don't know how to work a lot of tools. Very safe tool to use to begin with. Now, as for my all-time favorite project, you guys featured it recently on one of your episodes. literally this table that I'm sitting at right now. Now this is a large-scale dining room table that I made out of black American walnut, and I absolutely love it because it was really one of the first projects that I did as far as a woodworker, and it was extremely gratifying as well as it's beautiful. You know, family is extremely important to me and my wife, and therefore this table is our dining room table, and we sit at it every single week, and we have a lot of fun at this table. So this is one of my all-time favorite projects that I've ever done, as well as the fact that it's a very successful video on YouTube, which is always satisfying to see. Now, another YouTuber that I follow that actually has less followers than me at this point, but who knows where he's gonna go, is Tyler Bell. Yes, Tyler is actually a local YouTuber that I met at the WorkbenchCon trade show in Atlanta this year, and he's extremely talented, takes on really unique projects, and he's very skillful. So I would highly suggest checking him out because I'm sure his channel will be growing tremendously over the next year or so. Well, my load is a bit different because of the fact that my wife just gave birth to our very first child, Isla. And inevitably, that definitely takes my workload down a smidge. However, I am taking on a number of large-scale projects. Number one being a full-on DIY tutorial on how to install your own synthetic grass system. I'll be doing that and featuring that in the very near future, as well as installing a loft net system. Yes, this is a really unique, cool project that I can't wait to take on. I actually have the framework already taken care of. You wanna check it out? Let's go ahead and do that. So this is the deck that I built a few years ago, and inevitably I am now teaming up with loft nets, and this is going to be a nice large loft net right here. There's going to be a door opening right here into a adjacent loft net. So we'll see what it turns out like. I think it's going to look beautiful and amazing, and it'll be a fun project.
Thanks so much, Brent. If you are not yet subscribed to his YouTube channel, you can find it at BYOT on YouTube and BYO Tools on Instagram.
Moving on to a few of our favorite maker videos this week, Andrew of Molly Wally Woodworking, freaking love that name by the way, reached out to share his mid-century modern lounge chair, and it's really beautiful. The Purple Heart bow tie is particularly a nice touch.
April Wilkerson shared her second and final video on her horizontal board-on-board fence, this time putting on the cap, all the pickets, trim, and groundwork. If you're thinking of building a fence of your own, this sure is a great looking solution, and as always, April makes it look easy enough that just about any of us could probably do it.
And finally, our buddy Pierre, also known as the Swedish Maker, built this amazing folding apple picking ladder, and I need one. I don't have any apple trees, but I want one now. The build is easy and only takes about $50 in materials. You can find links to all of these videos in the description.
All right, Maker friends, that's all we've got. If you saw a Maker video this week that should have been mentioned, do us a favor and link to it in the comments below.
If you link it, I promise you, we'll watch it.
Yep, and a special thanks to Heart for sponsoring this episode and reminding us that we can build anything we can imagine if we do it with Heart.
So be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.
All right, break's over.
Let's make something.